Shout out to Christine Brennan. Team USA, y'all need to stop playing. Hold on, wait a second. Y'all will recognize and appreciate Caitlin Clark as the face of this whole get up. Nobody's checking for these other, no disrespect. Great basketball players. That don't mean people checking for you. You mean to tell me y'all put other people's face all on the Team USA stuff and y'all left Caitlin Clark off of it?
The moment you see that reaction, you know something is deeply wrong. This isn't simple annoyance, it's outright disbelief and confusion. USA Basketball released their December training camp promo, and somehow the most powerful figure in women's basketball didn't appear anywhere on it. Not hidden in a corner, not in small text, completely absent. We're talking about the same star who skyrocketed Wnba viewership by nearly 400% in her rookie season. The same athlete whose jersey sales outpaced every other women's sports figure combined. Yet, USA Basketball opted to feature Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, and Kalia Copper on the promo instead. And Christine Brennan, a veteran journalist covering Olympic basketball since 1984, shared the story late Friday night. Her stunned reaction alone highlighted just how glaring and humiliating this oversight really was.
To go all out promoting women's basketball, bring new fans in, and get unprecedented attention for a team that dropped in TV viewership at the Paris Olympics. That's right, the women's USA viewership dropped at the Olympics in Paris. Nobody was watching it. They would have added the photo of one of the player to this graphic, but no.
Almost impossible to believe how badly this was handled once you see the bigger picture. The women's basketball team at the Paris Olympics suffered a dramatic drop in viewership compared to prior tournaments. According to Brennan, TV ratings plummeted because casual fans simply didn't feel any compelling reason to tune in. The die-hard basketball audience watched, of course, but the mainstream sports crowd, the very group that drives sponsorships, advertising revenue, and widespread media attention, largely stayed away. Now, contrast that with the explosion during Caitlin Clark's rookie season in the WNBA. Indiana Fever games averaged 1.2 million cable viewers alone. Every matchup she played drew crowds that women's basketball hadn't seen in over 20 years. Arenas that usually struggled to fill seats were selling out weeks in advance, sparking an entirely new wave of excitement and fan engagement. USA Basketball saw all of this firsthand. They had a crystal-clear roadmap in front of them. The soaring TV ratings, the packed arenas, the record-breaking merchandise sales, and international reporters flying in just to cover a single player. Yet, despite all this undeniable evidence, they still decided to leave her completely off the promotional graphic, a mind-boggling and utterly avoidable misstep.
Yeah, well, I've given it, as you know, over the last 60 hours. I broke the news right around midnight, Friday to Saturday morning, and I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, you of course mentioned it, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball, just a missed opportunity. And but I'll start with my answer by saying I have covered this.
Really grasp how shocking this is, you need to see the full picture. Brennan's account alone is jaw-dropping. She described covering these gold medal games from the Press Tribune, the official media section at Olympic arenas, and said the atmosphere was so empty it felt like tumbleweeds could roll across the floor. That's how low attendance was for a team that has dominated Olympic basketball for decades. Keep in mind, the U.S. women's team hasn't lost an Olympic game since 1992. Won 7 straight gold medals, arguably making them the most successful squad in Olympic history, men's or women's. Yet even seasoned journalists, whose jobs are to cover basketball, are skipping these games because the audience simply isn't large enough to justify serious coverage. Legendary columnist Bob Ryan even discussed this very issue with Brennan back at the 2012 London Olympics, proving this problem has persisted for over a decade. What's new, however, is that women's basketball finally received a true solution, a once-in-a-generation star who reignited national attention and fan excitement. Instead of embracing that momentum, USA Basketball has inexplicably chosen to ignore it entirely, a baffling and short-sighted decision in today's sports landscape.
Caitlin Clark on that team, the team that so richly deserves attention, and doesn't get it and won't get it without her. because there's just so much going on in an Olympics. On that same day, there probably will be 30 other gold medals given out, and sports editors and others have to make a decision. Do you go to Simone Biles? Do you go to women's soccer? Where do you go? It's not, there's just too much going on. You put Caitlin Clark on that team, and every single one of those guys that can't stand women.
The situation becomes even more striking when you consider what Brennan reveals about male sports journalists. She doesn't hold back. She's exposing a reality most in sports media quietly ignore. Some reporters will eagerly cover the men's Olympic basketball team but won't even glance at the women's team, even when both squads are playing in the very same arena. This isn't a scheduling problem. It's a conscious choice based on what they think their audience actually cares about. Journalists assign coverage based on what editors approve and what readers are likely to click on. So when these writers skip women's basketball entirely, the message is clear. Their audience isn't interested. At least, that's how it used to be. Everything changed during the 2024 WNBA season. Those same journalists who once avoided women's basketball were suddenly clamoring for media access to Indiana Fever games. International outlets sent correspondents specifically to cover a rookie point guard in Indianapolis. Brennan even mentions a British reporter she met at the Masters who planned to attend the Olympics solely to report on Caitlin Clark. The demand was real. The global interest was unprecedented. The media foundation was already laid out and waiting. Yet despite all this undeniable momentum, USA Basketball still left her off the Olympic roster, justifying the decision by citing veteran recognition and team chemistry, an explanation that now feels increasingly out of touch with today's modern sports landscape.
Team in 1992, Reg, the men's team, how that grew basketball around the world, especially for boys and men, and where it reached Africa. Well, the opportunity with Caitlin Clark's popularity, Africa, Europe, Asia. Think of how many number 22 USA jerseys would have been sold. Money that could have then been pumped back in to help have developmental programs.
Consider the sheer magnitude of this comparison, because Brennan isn't exaggerating. She's drawing a direct line to the legendary 1992 Dream Team. And this isn't just symbolism, it's a literal historical parallel. The original Dream Team, featuring icons like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird, didn't merely dominate the Olympics. They transformed global basketball culture from the ground up. Kids across Africa, Europe, South America, and Asia picked up basketballs for the first time because they watched that team play. The NBA's worldwide boom over the next 3 decades can be traced directly to the global spotlight the Dream Team created. Today, the league features players from nearly 40 countries, and international TV rights generate billions annually. All of that growth began with one crucial decision: putting the biggest stars on the Olympic stage. Brennan argues that Caitlin Clark represented a comparable breakthrough moment for women's basketball, not just in the US, but worldwide. A number 22 USA jersey would have sold out in countries where women's basketball barely exists. Young girls in places without professional leagues would finally have a superstar to watch, follow, and emulate. The economic opportunity alone was staggering. USA Basketball could have leveraged that merchandise surge to fund youth development programs, while the spike in international media attention might have driven funding for grassroots initiatives and expanded the sport on a global scale. Instead of capitalizing on this once-in-a-generation moment, they prioritized short-term team chemistry over long-term worldwide growth, a choice that may have set women's basketball back by years of momentum. To understand the situation fully, just look at Brennan's reaction. It says everything. Christine Brennan grasps the stakes better than almost anyone in sports media. You may agree with her conclusions or not, but she's been covering this subject long before it became a hot online debate. Caitlin Clark has been sidelined by Team USA for years. Even at just 17, she was benched behind Hailey Van Lith, a decision that never made sense then and looks even worse now. What gives Brennan unmatched credibility is her extensive background. She isn't a social media commentator chasing quick clicks, nor a rookie reporter stirring drama for attention. She's a veteran journalist who has covered every Olympics since 1984, written for major national newspapers, and cultivated deep, long-standing relationships throughout USA Basketball's entire structure. When Brennan says she has witnessed the lack of interest firsthand, she literally means standing in near-empty press sections at Olympic gold medal games for more than 40 years. And the fact that her next interview is with a radio show in New Zealand underscores just how global this story has become. International media aren't covering this because of a mere promotional graphic, they're reporting it because USA Basketball made a decision with worldwide consequences. Here's the striking part, the December 12th training camp hasn't even taken place yet. This isn't about a roster choice or a game outcome, it's backlash over a graphic for a simple practice session. The fact that it's already drawing international media attention should serve as a massive warning sign of just how significant USA Basketball's misstep truly is. And yes, this is part of a long-standing pattern. Caitlin Clark has been undervalued by USA Basketball for years. As a teenager on the youth national teams, she didn't start. Hailey Van Lith took the starting minutes while Clark came off the bench. Consider that for a moment. The player who would eventually shatter Pete Maravich's 54-year-old NCAA scoring record wasn't even seen as a starter on a youth roster. At some point, Team USA has to stop making the same costly mistakes. Give proper respect to the player who transformed the entire landscape. Honor the woman who currently sits at the pinnacle of modern women's basketball. Let's put this in perspective, because the irony is staggering. The very player who would go on to attract more media attention than any woman in basketball history wasn't even considered a starting caliber talent on a junior national team. And this isn't just hindsight, Caitlin Clark was already showcasing elite-level skills at just 17. Her playmaking, deep shooting range, and advanced court IQ clearly separated her from everyone else. Yet USA Basketball's evaluation system somehow relegated her to the bench. This is what the promotional graphic controversy truly exposes. It's not merely a marketing slip or a social media oversight. It's part of a long-standing, consistent pattern in which USA Basketball continues to undervalue the athlete who has done more than anyone in the past 2 decades to elevate women's basketball on every level. Take a closer look at USA Basketball's mission statement. Yes, winning medals is their top priority, but they're also charged with growing the sport. That responsibility includes expanding the audience, boosting participation, increasing media visibility, and creating real financial sustainability. By every one of these measures, Caitlin Clark stands out as their single most valuable asset, their ultimate growth engine. She brought millions of casual fans into women's basketball for the very first time. She inspired young girls across the country to pick up the sport. She generated media coverage from outlets that usually ignore women's sports entirely. And she proved that women's basketball can be extremely profitable when promoted with even basic competence. USA Basketball witnessed all of this firsthand throughout the 2024 season. They saw sold-out arenas, record-breaking television ratings, merchandise booms, and unprecedented global attention. They had a front-row seat to the sport's commercial and cultural rebirth. Even after witnessing that transformation firsthand, USA Basketball released a December training camp graphic highlighting veterans from a team that delivered disappointing Olympic viewership numbers. That's not just tone deaf, it's organizational confusion. It's a governing body that seems to misunderstand its own product, its marketplace, and its audience. Put simply, this isn't just about a graphic. It's about a system that repeatedly misreads the present while ignoring the future. The bigger picture here is impossible to overlook. The WNBA recently secured a new CBA that significantly boosted player salaries and benefits, and that agreement didn't occur in a vacuum. It was negotiated at a time when the league could point to tangible success, soaring attendance, rising TV ratings, and a surge in sponsorship interest. And the driving force behind all of that progress is unmistakable, the unprecedented attention generated by Caitlin Clark. Every player in the league reaped financial benefits from that momentum, whether they openly acknowledge it or not. The bargaining power that produced this new CBA came directly from a larger, more engaged audience. And that audience didn't appear out of nowhere, it was built because one player turned women's basketball into must-watch entertainment for millions of casual fans. Now consider USA Basketball, preparing for the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. These are monumental opportunities to leverage the wave created during the 2024 WNBA season. LA promises packed hometown arenas, primetime broadcast slots, and international attention far exceeding what Paris offered. Here's the critical issue: momentum isn't automatic. The casual viewers who discovered women's basketball through Caitlin Clark need a compelling reason to stay invested. They want to see the player who drew them into the sport performing on the biggest stage. If USA Basketball once again minimizes her presence, whether by leaving her off the roster or burying her in promotional materials, those fans will quickly drift away, taking the momentum with them. Once momentum is lost, it rarely comes back. You can't recapture lightning once it's been released. The 2024 season was a perfect storm: a generational superstar, a captivating storyline, and a sports media world hungry for something new all converged to create something exceptionally rare. If that moment isn't carefully nurtured, it will disappear. USA Basketball risks throwing away the single biggest growth opportunity women's sports has seen in decades. Here's the harsh reality: USA Basketball is standing at a crossroads. Instead of seizing the opportunity before them, they're letting it slip through their fingers. The organization continues to make choices driven by internal politics, seniority favoritism, and outdated evaluation methods that ignore what the market is clearly signaling. They're protecting the comfort of an old system while missing a chance to fundamentally reshape the future of the sport. Christine Brennan has covered this game long enough to know when an institution is misreading its moment. She has watched USA Basketball dominate on the court for decades while repeatedly failing to cultivate a sustainable, enthusiastic audience off the court. She's stood in half-empty press sections during gold medal games, witnessed the lack of buzz, minimal global attention, and seen firsthand the consequences of not elevating the sport's most marketable personalities. And now, Brennan is watching history repeat itself. USA Basketball finally has the one player capable of transforming that reality: the athlete who can fill media sections, generate international headlines, drive merchandise into new markets, and create opportunities in countries where women's basketball barely exists. That player is Caitlin Clark. Yet somehow, USA Basketball chose to release a promotional graphic that didn't feature her at all. So the real question isn't whether they made a mistake. The real question is whether USA Basketball can course-correct before the momentum from the 2024 season vanishes. Momentum is fragile. It doesn't last forever. And once it fades, you can't simply get it back. What should USA Basketball do next? Should they revise their promotional materials to prominently feature the player driving global interest, publicly acknowledge the oversight, and clarify their strategy? Or is this just a minor marketing misstep that won't matter in the long run? Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned, because we'll be breaking down every development as the December 12th training camp approaches.